Okay, good morning, grade 8s. So today is Tuesday, April the 14th, and hopefully you all have a good handle on finding the surface area of a cylinder. Today we are moving forward and we're going to start looking at the volume of a cylinder. So I'm just going to flip the screen right now. Okay, so right here I have two shapes, one being a rectangular or square-based prism, the other being a cylinder. When I'm finding the area of my square-based prism or my rectangular-based prism, what I'm doing, and you should remember this from years ago, is I am multiplying the length times the width times the height. The length times the width, when I do that calculation, what I'm finding is the area of my base. And then to find all of the volume that's inside that shape, I take the area of that base and I multiply it by the height and I find everything that can be held within that shape. That's why this formula works. This is the formula that we're going to be using for the volume of a cylinder, and it works exactly the same way. The idea is that we're going to find the area of our base using pi r squared, and then we're multiplying that by the height. Now, keeping in mind, this formula up here is showing the multiplication symbol that grade 6 way. This formula here is showing the variables side by side with no calculation symbol in between them, and we know that when there is no calculation symbol in between, we are multiplying. So the height is being multiplied by the radius, which is squared, and that is being multiplied by pi in order to find that volume. Okay, so here we are with a problem to work through. The very first thing I'd like everyone to do is start by writing that formula. So volume equals pi times radius squared times the height. And then the next thing you're going to do is substitute in your numbers. So where it says pi, I'm going to write 3.14. Where it says radius, I'm looking at my problem and I'm seeing my radius is 4.7. So it's going to be 4.7 squared. And that is going to be multiplied by the height, which in this case is 12.5 centimeters. So then I'm going to get out my calculator, which is the next thing you're going to need, and you're totally allowed to use a calculator, and I'm only going to show you here the bottom half of this. But I'm going to type in my, I'm going to start with the squared units here. So I'm going to go 4.7, multiplying it by itself, 4.7. And then when I hit the equal sign, it's going to give me 22.09. And I'm going to copy everything else out. So it stays 3.14. multiplied, 4.7 squared now becomes 22.09 multiplied by 12.5. If I go 4 squared, I know that's 4 times 4, it's 16. If I go 5 squared, I know it's 5 times 5, that makes 25. So 4.7 squared has to be somewhere between 16 and 25. In my head, I'm doing that mental math to make sure that I'm getting that right number. Once I have all three of my numbers written out like that, I can just multiply them by each other to get my final answer. So I've already got 22.09 in my calculator. I'm going to hit the multiply sign. I'm going to type my 3.14. Hit the multiply sign again. I go 12.5. Answer is here. 867.0325. Here we have centimeters in our question, so we're going to put centimeters cubed in our answer because this is volume. Now, one of the questions for homework today, it says to you, oh, within that cylinder, we only have 95% of it being filled with the liquid because the liquid might expand as it freezes, so the maximum that it's allowed to be filled is 95%. If I want to find 95% of what fits into this cylinder, what's my calculation? What am I doing here? Well, there is a trick to this. You have to listen to the words here. I'm using the word of. I want to find 95% of this total volume. Whenever we use the word of in math, that is code for multiplication. So what I'm going to do to find that 95% capacity is I'm going to turn my 95% into a decimal, which becomes 0.95 as a decimal. And then I'm to find 95% of this amount, I'm going to multiply by that decimal. 867.0325. So in my calculator, I've already got that up there. I'm going to go multiplied by 0.95 because it's 95%. And this is my answer here of what that can will hold if it's only holding 95% of its maximum volume. Okay, that would be the amount of liquid. All right, so things to point out. You need to have your formula. You need to have your second line with your numbers substituted in. Your third line, you're figuring out your square unit. And then in the fourth line, you're having your final answer. You're putting your equal signs down the page nicely. You're showing your units cubed in your final answer. And if the question is telling you to round to the nearest whatever kind of unit, then you would have an extra line down here where you'd be showing that rounding. Okay? One other thing, if I am taking this number and I am switching it into, if I'm doing metric conversion, what I need to do now, I'm just going to slide my page up here. What I need to do now is I need to start by drawing out my metric conversion rhyme. I got my king, Henry, died a miserable death called measles. And then because I have units cubed, I need to switch it 3 times. So for example, let's just take a number here. Let's say we've got, we're going to use cubic millimeters. Let's say we have 293, let's add a couple more zeros here. That's our amount of millimeters cubed. I want to figure out what this amount is in centimeters cubed. Well, to go from millimeters to centimeters, I've got 1 shift. But because it's cubes, I have to shift it 3 times. So I'm taking my decimal and I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. So this is 29.3 cubic centimeters. Okay, hope that all makes sense, grade 8s. You've got your homework assigned for today. It's questions 1 to 5. There's new volume questions for that. Good luck. And if you have any questions, make sure that you send me a Google Doc with that question in there. Okay, have a great day, everyone.